And welcome in to the Best Boys Center Ice Podcast 2025 Stanley Cup Playoff Wrap-Up Show. Night 3 of the second round of the Stanley Cup Playoffs with a couple of games. While Carson's getting things set on his end, we want to remind you that you can get all of the 2025 Stanley Cup Playoff Wrap-Up shows on the Best Boys Center Ice Podcast YouTube channel, which is available on the Refocused Radio Network. Also on the Refocused Radio Network is Sweep the League with Rudy Campos Jr. And I Am Refocused Radio with Shemaya Reed, plus a lot of other great shows. Check it out.
Don't forget Spreaker
Radio. Yeah, we're on Spreaker as well if you just want the audio. But with how all the great graphics that Carson has made, you want to see it. You want to see this. And if you'll notice up in the upper right-hand corner, Carson's created a logo for us, which is really cool. I guess you got inspired by Utah's new team logo and
yeah,
team
you know
name.
what? I was feeling the inspiration. I'm like, we need to be a bit as creative as we can be. So yeah, I made a logo and then obviously some extra stuff like the audio, then the background, and I'll add an intro video for our shows, an outro video for our shows, and there's a lot of stuff that I'll add on here, but might as well make it a bit unique on here while we're doing it.
Yeah. So before we get to the games, what do you think of Utah's new?
I love it.
Team
I
name
love
and
it.
logo? It's a great logo.
Awesome. A lot of people have been saying it's really similar to Nashville's, which I kind of agree. But I think the logo concept looks great. The jerseys look awesome. The way that they have them. I like that they're still keeping the Utah, the like down the, and they have that being a bit more diagonal, which I like. They're going to do the Utah again this year. For the away jersey, and then have the Mammoth for the home jersey, which I love that concept. And you know, it'd be really cool if they do a third jersey and they get like a light blue in there, a light blue and black. Oh, but that I'm excited to see the center ice logo. I've heard they're doing renovations in that arena for the seating because of the one side of the ice where you can't see it.
Yeah,
they can't see the full sheet. But I'm excited. They exceeded my expectations this year. The fan support was there the whole time, and I'm excited to see what it looks like on the ice, and I might have to snag something like a T-shirt or a blank jersey because I love it. It looks cool.
And now there are two prehistoric animals in the NHL: a saber-toothed tiger with the Predators and the mammoth, the woolly mammoth elephant.
I like the name, the Utah Mammoth. That is cool. I like that they kind of went with away from the S at the end of the name because it's very uncommon. There's a couple teams like Colorado does it. You know, obviously the Mammoth do it.
And
there's some teams in the AHL like that, like back in the day. I don't know what they're called now, but there was the Abbotsford Heat. I think there's Stockton Heat now. I like when teams kind of are able to pull that off. So shout out to Utah. That was great decision, great logo. It was well worth the wait, honestly, this whole season, being the Utah Hockey Club, and that in itself is pretty cool because that was the first time that's happened. Where a team just went without a mascot. Yeah. So I like it. And there's a lot of organizational improvements. So it's just beginning for those fans. And I wouldn't be surprised if next year we see Utah this time of the year. Next year.
Yeah. It'd be nice to get in, squeak into the playoffs next year.
We need to go to a game there.
Oh yeah, it's Salt Lake City, just a quick little flight away.
And it's pretty too.
Oh, Salt Lake City, scenic. Utah is very, very, very scenic. So yeah, we'll have to head up to Utah next season and see the Mammoth in person.
Oh yeah.
All right. And speaking of the playoffs, we had 2 games tonight.
No, 3.
No, there was only 2 games tonight. You just tried to throw me off. I was like, no, there's only going to be 2 games tonight now. The first game was the Leafs and the Panthers, and after Toronto's impressive first Game 1 victory, they came in and it was close as the first period started. The Florida Panthers got off to a good start with a power play goal, but then Winnipeg, we'll get to Winnipeg later. Toronto got a power play goal to tie it in the first period, late in the first period, about minute and a half, minute 20 or minute 40 left. Our everybody's favorite player, Brad Marchand, gets his first of the playoffs in the second period. So
he's
all
becoming one of mine.
Has a 2-1 lead, and that was only 15 seconds in. Don't blink. It was only 15 seconds into the second period. And then William Nylander got his 6th of the playoffs. Max Domi gets his 2nd, and now all of a sudden Toronto's up 3-2 heading to the third period. It was tied at about 5.5 minutes in. Lundell scored his 3rd, but Mitch Marner, who is a lot of people's scapegoat in Toronto.
You know what? I like Mitch Marner. He really proved himself in the Four Nations tournament, I think, with what kind of player he can be. And he just has to be surrounded by the right guys. It's only his 2nd goal of the playoffs, but I mean, at the time, a huge goal, as that was that, I mean, 15, 17 seconds later for Toronto, they score the game. He scores the game-winning goal. You know, back and forth game where, I mean, yeah, like it was Toronto was leading, then it was tied. Then
don't blink.
Then Florida led for a second or two, and then Toronto took it right back. But you know, I have my screen shared on here, so you can see some of the numbers. Max Domi at 2 points, Anton Lundell at 2 points, Bobrovsky 16 saves on 20 shots. So another kind of shaky game for him. And Wall did a good job. I mean, coming in relief, 25 saves on 28 shots. Yeah, a great game for them. And you know, you look at this, you know, this side of the screen on the right now, next to the recap. You look at the danger chances. So this is Florida's first. So you see, you know, almost all their goals came from the left side. So the blocker side of Wall, but a lot of close shots. He only had 4 point shots. 4. You have one over here, then one in the center, and then 2 right in front. The rest are by the dots and above. You look at Toronto. Look at all those were front shots. They had 1 or 2 point shots, and one of them went in right there. So big game for the Leafs. I mean, they look good. I will admit they look like a good team. I don't like the Leafs. I don't like the Leafs. You know, I'm not. But they look different. They look like they're good, but they still got 2 more wins to go, and Florida's going to give them a run for their money back in Sunrise when they go home.
Yeah, you can't rest your laurels on the winning 2. Well, and you got to win 4, and it's going to be tough going into Florida to win those 2 games.
Nylander's been really good. He's had three goals, 4 points so far in the 2 games, and Max Pacioretty has been really solid. I feel like in the playoffs he had two goals so far, but. Yeah, I mean, the whole lineup stepping in. The big boys are actually doing pretty well right now. So Florida's just got to hold the lead or hold the game together. You know, they get a goal and then they give it up like in a couple minutes, and that's not the key to beating any team in the playoffs.
And that's not the Florida Panthers of the last couple of years. Now, it's not them at all.
No, and there was one thing that happened in this game that I didn't really agree with. And did you see the penalty that they called on Rodriguez for embellishment on that hit?
Yeah,
I don't think I think that was pretty bad. That was a bad call. But honestly, I think that's more of just a retribution call for not calling what happened to Stolar's last game. Even though really watching that, not even just being a hater, I really don't think it was as bad as people were saying it was. It didn't look like Bennett hit him that hard, but it was just the contact just wasn't right. But I think that was more of a retribution call. But the Panthers got to be upset going home because they could have had this game and they should have had this game and they let it slip away. And now they gotta win the next 2. I don't think you want to lose any of those now at home. But I mean, I would like their chances if they win both games at home to get back in the series.
Well, they're going to have to climb back in it all. You know, you can't look at winning both of them. You got to win that first game first. You got to win the first period. You got to win the second period, the third period of the game, and then move on. And I know Florida will be a different team at home, but, you know, if Toronto can come out and play the way they play, this is totally a different team than we saw the last few years in the playoffs where they folded and they don't handle the pressure very well. They're playing the Stanley Cup champions right now, and they're taking care of the Stanley Cup champions right now. So it's going to be interesting to see. So this game will be Friday night, game 3 in Sunrise, and we'll of course wrap that one up as well. Then game that just ended a little while ago, really a good, like you were saying, you were looking forward to this game when we talked about it last night. You were looking forward to this game, Dallas and Winnipeg in Winnipeg. And finally, the monkey is off. Dallas is back. They finally win a game 1.
Yeah, the first time since the Stanley Cup final when they made it against Tampa Bay in 2020. Yeah. That's how long it's been since they've won a game 1. Um, and even we know how that series ended for them. They unfortunately didn't win the cup.
Yeah.
But I mean, a great hockey game overall. This was just a really good game and a good series it's going to be. But yeah, the Stars take the game, and once again, it's the same situation as last game. Mikko Rantanen has a hat trick in one period for the second straight game, and
Natural hat trick.
yeah, natural hat trick in the second period. You look again over here. Rantanen has 5 shots. He scores three goals. Uh, he's been the difference maker. He's got
Mhm.
14 points already in the playoffs in 8 games. He's 8 goals in 8 games. He's he's showing that he's worth what right now. He's showing he's worth what Dallas got him for. I mean, their season.
Everybody was worried about him all.
Yeah,
He
and their
was
season. I mean, I was too. I didn't think he was that great in the regular season with them, but maybe just trying to iron out the kinks. He seems to have found a home playing on that line. I think it's with Hintz and Granlund that he looks like he's just really comfortable there. And I think even if you get Robertson back in the series, I think you keep Brandon on line one and keep that line together because they're doing something right now. But yeah, I mean, you look at last game, the Stars would have been out if it weren't for him. He came alive in the third period, and they would have been going home.
they would have been going home. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, big game for them. And Scheifele had a goal for Winnipeg, but not enough. Ottinger made plenty of big saves at the end of that game.
Now
He was
that's the Ottinger we know. That's the Ottinger we saw.
he looks calm, cool, and collected. He looks calm, cool, and collected in the net. But yeah, you look here. The Jets scored the first goal. Niederreiter got that one, and then Rantanen natural hat trick with a power play goal, and then Scheifele scored his. But you look at here, the shot chart. The Jets outshot the Stars tonight, and the Stars just made their shots count. Uh, Again, not a lot of volume from the point, but they were getting by the dots, and that's where they were beating Hellebuck at in this game. And then you look for the Jets, and look at how many more shots they had than Dallas, and spread out all over the ice, and they couldn't beat them. They just were having a hard time. I think that they have to get more traffic in front of him. He's able. We know what he's capable of. He can make those saves when you don't think he can. They've got to get more. They got to keep the volume coming on him, and they've got to get bodies in front of him. Because you've got all these shots. You know, you don't have very much from the point going on, and you also don't have. I don't want to say that those aren't close shots because they are, but nothing like net front, where he's like right in the crease, and forcing him to work. They got one shot in the crease. They need a lot more than that to beat him, I think.
Well, and I just think about it. Okay, this was Hellebuck's first loss at home. The other 3 losses were on the road. So he's only 4-4 in the playoffs so far.
Well,
and that's not what you need from a guy who's Vezina Trophy, Hart Trophy candidate.
Yeah. Well, look at this even, right here where my cursor is. Power play. Dallas was 1 for 2, Winnipeg 0 for 4.
Mm-hmm.
That's a difference maker. Dallas is a good penalty kill if they stay with it, and the Jets got to break through that. And the Jets on the other side have to stay disciplined and not take many penalties because practically everything Mikko Rantanen's touching is going in the net. So big win for Dallas. They take home ice away, and now they put themselves in a position. They win game 2 on Friday. I mean, that's not good for Winnipeg going to Dallas and you're already down 2. This is a must win already for Winnipeg. I think game 2 is a must win because of how much they struggled with the Blues. They had barely any time off. Both teams had barely any time off, and the Jets weren't able to get much past Ottinger tonight. I mean, they played better in my opinion, but they just didn't score as much, and that's the difference.
Dallas, as the playoffs have gone along, have gotten better and better and better, and look more like the Dallas Stars that we know.
Yeah, and I mean,
Winnipeg's gone the other way.
Yeah, well,
they've really gone the other way. They barely got by. They were 1.6 seconds away from losing that series.
And Dallas is so close to getting their guys back. They really are. I mean, Heiskanen's been skating. Robertson's been skating. Again, I wouldn't put those guys in for a while because the Stars are winning right now.
Robinson played tonight.
Yeah, but I mean,
but
I don't know.
He didn't play. He didn't play much. Where's the stats here?
Here, I've got it. Give me a second. Box score.
Yeah.
He was a -1.
Yeah, he was a -1 and 13. He only played 13:44, but he's back. He's got his skates under him. He'll be better in game two, and so that's a key.
Yeah, I just
Uh,
don't think you don't push them too far right now,
no,
and just keep doing what they're doing with Dallas. I mean, I can't believe I completely forgot about that with Robertson playing. Honestly, I think I'm
well,
just
he
used to
didn't.
not
Like I
seeing
said,
him in the lineup right now,
he didn't play very much. Which is, I think, by
which
design.
is fine. I mean, that's working, and you keep just maybe increase him by a minute every game or 30 seconds every game and see how he feels. And obviously, it's working. The Stars are winning, and that's all that matters is winning.
Yeah,
And the longer they keep going, the better he's going to feel. And you know, a healthy Jason Robertson is a scary player to play against. I mean, he's going to be a threat anytime he's on the ice. You don't
very
think
much.
right now he's hungry right now. He wants to score. He wants to win because he hasn't played in a long time since the last game of the season.
Hmm.
And, I can't imagine the feeling of him and Heiskanen being in the locker room or on the bench, whatever, or in the locker room watching these games helpless that they can't help
Yeah,
their guys out and win the game.
yeah. That's
So,
when you're in the playoffs and you want to play so bad, but you
yeah,
gotta
yeah,
listen to your body. It's there's a difference between being hurt and being injured. If you're hurt, you can go out there and play, but if you're injured, you're not going to do yourself or the team any good by playing. So when Dallas gets the win, they get the lead in the series 1-0, and then tomorrow night we got two more games. The early game, Carolina, who has a 1-0 lead on Washington, they're in the nation's capital for game two against the Capitals. I'm expecting the Capitals to come out a little bit more on fire than they did in game
hmm
one. They don't want to, again, they've already given up home ice to Carolina. You don't want to go to Carolina down 0-2.
no, you
Uh,
don't.
you
And
know,
that Canes way outplayed them.
yeah.
And they got to be ready from the jump of this game. I imagine that Washington, I mean, last game they had the first goal. They scored the first goal last game and they just kind
Mhm.
of stopped. They just weren't able to get anything going. And
Yeah.
the Canes are going to be hungry at the same time to force us back home, and they have a 2-0 lead already. I think
Yeah.
they'd like to get this series done as quickly as they can because that's more time that they get to rest. And both teams had a lot of time off between the rounds, so they're both well rested. I mean, Washington's got to be ready from the jump for
Yeah.
sure, but long series yet in this one. I think that's going to be a long series, but they have to be ready. Uh, they have to be ready from the beginning.
Yeah, and I've noticed, like, what's great about the playoffs is, like, everything's been close games. There's not been blowouts. There's been a couple in the first round, but everything's come down to the wire. Everything, it seems like somebody's pulling their goaltender because they're down by a goal, or it's a late goal and it's
Yeah.
overtime. It just, these playoffs this year are just full of excitement
hmm
up and down the lineup. And this
Every game's been really good.
every game. Second game is the Edmonton Oilers in Las Vegas against the Golden Knights after the Oilers took a 1-0 lead a couple nights ago in Vegas. That's going to be an 8:30 starter since I think both games are on ESPN. It'll be
Yeah,
after
8:30
the
p.m.
Hurricane Capitals game. But here again, you got the Golden Knights who gave up home ice now. Didn't look very comfortable in game one. They had the 2-0 lead and then basically blew it, gave up 4 goals straight, and the Oilers come back for their fifth straight come from behind victory. If you're the Golden Knights, if you're the coach of the Golden Knights and players on the Golden Knights, what do you say to your guys to turn things around against this Oiler team
Just
who's just,
stop. I mean, don't stop playing. Simple. Don't sit back and let these guys do what they want. We've seen that they can. They've won every game coming from behind and winning. Every game they've won, they've been down at some point in the game. They've been losing, and they come back. And I mean, it's almost better off if the Oilers don't score first and they allow Vegas to score first. But I don't. It's just so weird to watch that dynamic that the Oilers just seem to play so much better when they're losing, and they
yeah,
have to like work harder to win to take the game over. But Vegas, I mean, they have to play the whole 60. Um, and if you're the Oilers, as much as they've been good at coming from behind, you don't want to make that a habit where you're doing that every game,
no,
because you know Vegas is a team that could make that 2-0 lead 4 or 5-0. because they're a gifted team, and you don't want to keep doing that and let them come back in the series. If you're the Oilers, easier said than done, but you want to take the mentality of, look, we want to go home up 2-0 already
Yeah.
and get this series over with,
Yeah.
and
And I think the Oilers did play a better first period. They just got behind early, but that late goal in this first period by Corey Perry really seemed to spark.
yeah, I mean, that's a
Okay,
whole different ball game. That's a whole different ball game that, you go into the intermission down 2-1 and you've got the 15, 20 minutes of sitting down and you've got the momentum because you got the most recent goal versus if you go into the dressing room and you played a great period or a good period in your mind and you're losing by 2 goals and it's like,
Yep.
oh no, like, you know, I mean, even watching that period, I don't even feel like the whole game. I really don't feel like Vegas played as well as I feel like they ever did against the Wild. I think they played better in that series and they didn't really play that great of a game in game one. You know, these series, even though these teams play each other, it's a feeling out process. You're playing these guys for the next week, a week and a half, 2 weeks of your
Mhm.
life. That's all you're going to be playing against is the same team. And I think it's a feeling out process of the game. Um, I don't really, I really don't like to pay attention to the advanced analytic numbers of like this percentage of teams that win game one
Yeah.
win the series because you feel out the first game and you see how it's going to be. Game two is probably going to be a lot different than game one was. I
Yeah.
imagine that Vegas is going to come out a lot better than they did, and they're going to play a whole better effort because you don't want to go down in the playoffs 2-0 on the road at any time, especially not against um, a team with the guys that y'all have on that team with Edmonton.
Well, and then if you're Vegas, and if you're Vegas, you're right. You've got to come out storming out of the gates. But the Oilers have to expect that, and they have to start playing a lot better right up front, and take it to Las Vegas. Keep firing shots on Aiden Hill, and just continue to just like Carson said. There he is. Like Carson said, the Oilers can't keep playing from behind against as you go deeper into the playoffs. Things get more intense. You don't want to be playing from behind all the time because Vegas is a team that could go up 3-4-0 on you in a blink of an eye.
Look at the season series. It's 3-2 Edmonton right now, technically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a close. I mean, that's as close as it gets. Obviously, after 5 games. Um, Again, that arena in Vegas, I imagine, is a hard arena as a road team to play in because those fans are a good fan base, and Vegas is going to do what they can to tie it up and go back and take a game like the Oilers did, where they could win a game in Edmonton. Again, I think we both agree this is going to be a long series. It's going to be a 6 or 7 gamer. It's not going to be short.
It's not going to be a short series. So I'm still thinking the Oilers are going to take. I just got to go with the Oilers taking this, but I think this is going to be the night's best game. It has to be their best game of the series so far.
Let me ask you this.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about these 2 games tomorrow: Carolina, Washington,
right.
Edmonton, Vegas. In this game, who do you think are your players to watch from each game? You got one player from each team. One player from each team in tomorrow's games. Who do you think you have to keep an eye on?
Oh, well, Washington Ovechkin, you just cannot ignore a guy who, top scorer ever in the NHL. You can't ignore Ovi. For Carolina, I think Gensel's a guy could be an X factor.
He's not on there.
No?
Gensel's in Tampa Bay.
Oh, he's in Tampa Bay. That's right. Well, then he could come on. No. Sorry, I forgot about that. Well, I hate to say the obvious then. Sebastian Aho for Carolina. And as far as the Oilers in Vegas is concerned, I still think for Vegas, you can't discount Jack Eichel.
Yeah.
I think Jack could be he could be a difference maker in a game.
Yep.
As far as the Oilers are concerned, it's easy to go with McDavid or Draisaitl, but really I think it's going to be the depth guys, and I think a depth guy that has been so right there the last few games is Matthias Janmark. He could be
Okay.
an X factor.
I like your picks.
Yeah. Who do you think?
See, I got from Washington. I think my guy to watch is Dylan Strom.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's been again in a really good spot being on that line with Ovechkin, and I think he's gonna be a guy that can turn the series around for Washington. And whether he gets some big assists or lays the body or can get a goal in that game, I think that
Mm-hmm.
he's gonna be the guy to watch for Washington. I think you look at Carolina. I've got a couple in mind. It's I know that some of the guys like are a bit more obvious to pick from, but I want to go maybe still a guy that's pretty solid, but I think is a digger deep in the stack, and I think I'm going to go Stan Calvin.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's been really good in this postseason. He's got 3 goals, but he's fit in really nice. Come in clutch when he's scored. I mean, he scored a big goal last game. He had those 2 big goals in the first round against the Devils. He's just like an energizer bunny out there. Like he's just ready to go when he's on the ice, and he's a smaller guy than everybody else, but he really lets his heart take over for his size. And then another guy, I think that just we've talked about how much we love watching him play, and he's turned it up. Obviously, last game offensively, but is Slavin.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got to score. He scored a goal. That's all it takes is to score that
Mm-hmm.
goal, and your floodgates open offensively. I mean, the same thing happened with Jacob Chikrin for Washington on defense. He scored 2 goals in the game I went to in Pittsburgh, and the next game I think he scored 1 or 2 more. So
Mm-hmm.
once you find the back of the net, it's easy to keep finding it.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. And then looking at Vegas, Edmonton, Vegas. I'll go with a deeper pull. I think I'll go with Dorofiev.
Mm-hmm.
He again 30 goal scorer this year, and a guy that has played a really big scoring role in that team. Mark Stone's another one. I mean, he scored 2 last game, an easy pick, but the Oilers got to watch out for him because he's going to be ready to.
Yeah.
He's a scorer. He knows how to find the net. And then Edmonton. I think I've got to go Hyman, Zach
Yeah.
Hyman. I like Zach Hyman. I think he finding the net last game in that clutch situation, less than 4 minutes left, and he scored that big goal. He's going to be a big guy to watch, and Connor Brown.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Connor
Yeah,
Brown
I
is just
love as I
rolling
say
now.
it every time when he scores. I love brownies for dessert
Yeah.
with extra
He's
ice
got 4
cream,
goals so
with a
far.
scoop of vanilla ice cream. But in
Yeah.
all seriousness, he's been really good. I think I like the role that he's getting to play, where he's just a fill-in guy. He can play anywhere in the lineup, but he's been a really key part to that team. But yeah, I think Hyman's my big guy in that game to watch for, and I don't know. I mean, that's what
And
makes the playoffs so special.
what I like about Hyman's game is like I sent you that stat
Yeah,
during the regular
hits.
season. He had like 0.08 hits per game, and now he's up to like 7. And
Yeah,
you can tell when he goes in and forecheck, he means business. He's going to take
yeah.
somebody out.
Well, and that's what makes the playoffs
He's
so great.
he's no longer just the guy that stands on the out back post.
Well, no, he got so much crap for that last year that all of his goals were by the net front. But
Yeah.
in all seriousness, that's what makes the playoffs so fun. Is there's some unsung heroes that make it up. I mean, the way it's been going now, if they keep going far, Mikko Rantanen could win the freaking Conn Smythe
Conn
Trophy
Smythe, right? Yeah.
because I mean he's been the best player in the playoffs, even
Yeah.
though he's had his best stretch of hockey in the last 2 or 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a great time of the year. All these series are going to be really good series. They're all going to be long series. But tomorrow's games, you got 2 big ones again: Washington, Carolina, and then uh, Edmonton, Vegas to wrap up the nightcap.
Yeah. And on Friday night, it'll be
Toronto, Florida
Toronto and
again, and then
Florida, and then
Dallas,
Dallas
Winnipeg.
and Winnipeg. So a lot of great hockey coming up over the next few days, and we'll be on after the Oilers Vegas game tomorrow night, like probably within like just a few minutes of
Once we start, we'll see what kind of happy or mad expression we get
yeah,
from
let's see what
down
probably
here.
but it's going to be a great game. You get into this
Yep.
part of the playoffs, and you got like I said, you got 8 teams who could legitimately win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
There's no team that's just playing in there.
That shouldn't be
There's
there right
8
now.
teams
No.
that can win the Stanley Cup.
Well, we know one team that most likely won't win it.
Do you,
I think.
do you think Toronto?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
I don't think. I
they
mean, they're
now
cursed. They're a cursed team.
Toronto may see. I just if they get by
But if
Florida,
they can get past Florida, I mean, that's a whole different story.
if they get past Florida, it all depends on if they turn into the old Toronto Maple Leafs or
Yeah.
not.
I mean, it would suck. Honestly, I mean, it would be good for their fans if they won because it's been forever since they've won a cup since
Yeah.
'67. But I mean, I would hate that for you because you know how much crap people would be saying. Oh, Matthews and Marner have a cup before McDavid. McDavid
Yeah.
sucks. McDavid this. You know, and I think this is, in my opinion, a big playoff for the Oilers.
Mm-hmm.
I think that McDavid's got to get one with Oilers
Yeah.
at some point because at some point he's going to be like, okay, I've had enough. Like I need to win a cup.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want him to leave Edmonton, but there's only so much time
Yeah.
you
So
got. And I want
that,
Corey Perry to win the cup again because he's lost
Yeah.
the freaking thing so many times. It's like he needs to win it.
well, when you look at McDavid, now that Draisaitl will start that new 8-year extension next season, that's what I think is going to keep Connor there. So those two guys are going to be around for a while. But yeah, it's like last year they get to Game 7. They made this incredible run down 0-3. They made this incredible run. They lost Game 7 2-1 in Florida. They were that close. Even closer than they were in 06 against Carolina. Then that went to 7 games. So yeah, you're right. McDavid, Draisaitl, that they
got to win a cup. They have to
win a cup.
It's like all these dynamic duos that have won the Stanley Cup. You know, back in the days, you know, with the good old Detroit Red Wings teams, even the Maple Leafs teams back in the days when they were winning the cups.
Yeah.
You know, you've had the Taves and Kane teams winning cups.
Mm-hmm.
Sid Gino winning the cups in Pittsburgh.
You know,
they
Mario and Yarmir.
Yeah, Yager winning the cup with the Penguins. I mean, literally, there's so many dynamic duos. The Oilers have to be the next. I mean, these guys deserve it. I'm fine. I'm thinking honestly, the cup goes either to Alberta or it goes to Dallas.
Yeah.
That goes back to Texas, which either of those I'd be okay with. But you know, there's so many guys on all these teams that deserve to win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
Honestly, at this point, and it's sad that only one of them gets to do it.
And you know what? If it's a repeat of last year's conference final, you know that'll be an interesting scenario. Dallas has been there how many times, and you know
they're a better team. They're a better team this year.
They're a better team.
They're a better team. I mean, Rantanen's elevated them, and Ottinger's.
Yeah. So
we always say it. He's our favorite. He's our favorite goalie.
Yeah. And so it's this is why the playoffs are so great. And like I said,
it's not rigged. It's not the same thing every year.
It's like these 8 teams. You look at, I think they're into the Elite 8 in the NBA playoffs.
Yes, they're in the second round.
There's teams that, you know, like I know New York is now up on Boston 2 games, but there's teams that they're not going to win. Legitimately, each one of these 8 teams could win the Stanley Cup.
I mean, how many times have we seen, you know, a lower seed team climb it and make the final and win?
You know, St.
It happens.
Blues.
Yeah, the Blues were last place in January, in 19, and they ended up winning the whole freaking cup. So,
to me, like, okay, Winnipeg's the President's Trophy winner, and we know the history of the President's Trophy. It's not been very good. If you look at, I think the President's Trophy was given out first in the mid-'80s. I think the Oilers won the actual President's Trophy.
Okay, we get it.
The Oilers won the President's Trophy 2 years in a row and won the cup. But I saw a thing that came up, and
it never happens.
It is like you look at President's Trophy winner, no cup.
The last team to do it was Washington in 2018.
Yeah,
they were the last team.
So that's why when you get a team like St. Louis were in the first round, Minnesota in the first round as well. You get a team like, like we look at those 2 teams as an example.
And you look at all these teams.
These are teams that look at St. Louis almost beat the President's Trophies with 1.6 seconds.
Yeah, well, and you look at all these teams left. There's a good storyline for every one of these winners if they win. Every one of these teams. I mean, Washington Ovechkin would get the cup in his record-breaking season.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina, Brendan Moore would win a cup as a coach as well as a player in Carolina. The Leafs would snap their almost 60-year drought. The Panthers back-to-back champs. The Jets practically saving their franchise from rumors of extinction
Right.
or being relocated. The Stars, being a Southern team. Mikko Rantanen comes to Dallas.
First time since '99 that they win.
That they win the Stanley Cup. Vegas, is having success. I mean, that'd be 2 Stanley Cups within their first decade of being a team, 3 Stanley Cup final appearances, and then Edmonton, finally the best player to be playing in the last decade would win his first Stanley Cup, and even Corey Perry would snap his streak of losing in the Cup final for the 4th time or however many times it's been.
Fifth time, I think of it. So it's a lot of great drama. Just these games are just incredibly fun to watch.
Yeah, and you said, very close. All of them, like except the first night or two. The first night or two, they weren't that. But all these games, you're right, have been like goalies being pulled, or like last night's game, the Oiler game, where they score with 3 minutes left to take the lead, and that's it. Like, it's crazy.
So we're gonna keep rolling. We'll be back again, like I said, tomorrow night after the Edmonton Vegas game. And you can get this tomorrow on our Best Boy Center Ice podcast YouTube channel. And you can also get us on Spreaker.com. And it'll be available too on TikTok as well. And we love doing this. This is our favorite time of the year. And it's so exciting because you just never know what's going to happen game to game, minute to minute, really. Because
you could look at tomorrow. Vegas could win 8-0 tomorrow, and it wouldn't.
It better not happen.
No.
No. So we're gonna wrap things up for tonight. We thank you very much for joining in. If you're watching the repeat, thank you very much, and we'd love to hear from you. You can message both of us on our Facebook page, messengers, or even on TikTok. I got a crazy guy that still thinks the Avalanche are in the playoffs.
I think he's just trying to mess with me,
and still can beat the Stars, but it's like they're not playing anymore. But anyways, we love to hear from you. And in the meantime, and in between time, everybody have a great hockey night.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Bye, son.
Bye.